The next step is to generate buy-in. The result of the last step is a draft of an agreement, not a completed agreement. Before implementing an SLA, all members of both parties who have a stake in or responsibility for the success of the agreement should have an opportunity to review the draft, raise questions, and offer suggestions. Using this feedback, the developers can conduct further negotiations, gain the necessary approval, and finalize the document. In addition to generating buy-in, this step improves the quality of the final document. Processes in the buy-in phase include stakeholder review, addressing stakeholder questions, implementing changes, gaining approval from all stakeholders, and finalizing buy-in. The sixth step in the service level management process is completing pre-implementation tasks. This step entails the identification and completion of tasks that must precede SLA implementation. Such tasks might include developing tracking mechanisms, establishing reporting processes, developing procedures for carrying out stated responsibilities, communicating expectations to staff, and providing pertinent training. The seventh step is implementing and managing the agreement. An agreement that is not managed dies upon implementation. Management responsibilities include providing a point of contact for problems related to the agreement, maintaining ongoing contact with the other party, conducting service reviews, coordinating and implementing modifications to the SLA, and assessing and reporting on how the two parties can further enhance their working relationship. As mentioned earlier, SLA implementation is neither a quick nor a simple process. After the proper communication exchanges and negotiation processes, after information gathering and documentation, and after implementation, it typically takes a few months to complete, sometimes much longer if a phased approach is the best solution. There are several factors that affect the amount of time you can expect your SLA implementation to take. The first factor is the service environment. The more services covered by an SLA and the more complex these services, the longer it takes the two parties to discuss, negotiate, and document the conditions of service delivery. Another factor is the proximity of the parties. Face-to-face negotiation is crucial in establishing an SLA. However, if travel is needed to enable this face-to-face contact, it can add significantly to the elapsed time. Another factor that can affect the timeline of your SLA implementation is the span of impact of the SLA. Establishing an SLA between two parties in a central office generally takes less time than establishing an SLA that spans regional, national, or international locations. A fourth factor that can affect the timeline of your SLA is the relationship between the parties. When the relationship is characterized by trust and respect, the effort proceeds much more quickly than when it is marred by distrust and dissatisfaction. In the latter situation, additional steps may be needed to begin to repair the relationship before undertaking the more formal SLA process. Another factor is the availability of an SLA model or template. The first SLA in an organization usually takes the longest. Once it is completed and in operation, however, both the document and the process can serve as a model for subsequent SLAs. If the first SLA is successful, later ones usually proceed much more rapidly. The last factor that can affect the timeline of your SLA is prior SLA experience within your organization. The most expeditious SLA efforts are the ones led by SLA developers who have had prior successful experience establishing an SLA. Conversely, if prior experience is lacking, the development process often takes much longer. There are several responsibilities that come along with being an SLA manager. Among those responsibilities are serving as the point of contact for problems or concerns related to the SLA itself and the delivery of services described within the SLA. Maintaining ongoing contact with the other party's SLA manager, serving as the primary point of contact in the escalation process, coordinating and implementing modifications to service delivery and to the SLA itself, planning and coordinating service reviews, facilitating or participating in conflict resolution processes regarding service effectiveness, delegating responsibilities to or seeking the assistance of colleagues, subordinates, or members of other party staff to address issues that may arise under the agreement, and developing a training program to foster a heightened service attitude and create an enhanced awareness of the elements of high-quality customer service and to provide skills in service delivery. You can learn more about roles and responsibilities within a performance management initiative in our Developing a Successful Performance Team seminar. And lastly, let's take a look at key components that must be addressed in a service level agreement in order to have a successful service level management program. They must have a brief service description, a validity period and/or SLA change control mechanism, authorization details, a brief description of communications including reporting, contact details of people authorized to act in emergencies to participate in incidents and problem correction, recovery, and workaround. Business or service hours, taking into consideration weekends and holidays. Scheduled and agreed service interruptions, including notice to be given and number per period. Customer responsibilities, such as security measures. Service provider liability and obligations. Impact and priority guidelines, escalation and notification processes, complaints procedure, service targets, workload limits upper and lower, such as the ability of the service to support the agreed number of users or volume of work, high-level financial management details, such as charge codes, action to be taken in the event of a service level failure, housekeeping procedures, a glossary of terms, supporting and related services, and any exceptions to the terms given in the SLA.
Well, I hope you found this seminar to be informative. Hopefully now you understand that while SLAs are not trivial, they don't have to be such a daunting task. Hopefully now you know when and when not to implement a service level agreement. You understand what's going to affect the timeline in your SLA. You now know the roles and responsibilities of service level agreement managers, and you also have a checklist so that you can make sure that you have all the components necessary to have a successful SLA agreement. I encourage you to look at some of our other performance management seminars so you can get a better understanding of how lifecycle performance professionals can transform your organization to a high-performing organization. Thank you very much.